everyone. So we are going to solve Max exam Math B 2013 question 1.1. I already solved this question by giving an intuition to the answer before. Now we are going to solve it using calculus, derivatives, okay? So fill in the blank with the correct answer. Question 1.1, the minimum of the function f of x equals 2 sine of x. So the first thing I'm going to do is multiply these parentheses. So 2 multiplied by so f of x is equal to what? 2 multiplied by 5 is 10. 2 multiplied by minus sine of x is minus 2 sine of x, and then we will have that sine of x multiplied by 5 is 5 sine of x. So I'm going just to do it step by step. 2 sine of x plus 5 sine of x, and then sine of x multiplied by minus sine of x is going to be minus sine of x squared, right? So f of x is equal to 10 plus 3 sine of x minus sine of x squared. Now remember, if you don't know calculus, there is a video of me solving it with intuition, but if we want minimum and maximum, we can derive this function. In the end of the video, I'm going to analyze the graph, okay, to give better idea. But you derive the f of x, and then you equal the derivative to 0, right, to find the maximum and minimum. So let's derive f of x. So the derivative of f of x comma is the derivative of 10 is 0. 10 is a constant, so the derivative is 0. The derivative of 3 sine of x is 3 cosine of x. Now for the derivative of minus sine of x squared, you need to remember that it is 2 sine of x cosine of x. If you don't remember, then let's just it's the chain rule. Remember chain rule? So let's call that we have g of x equals sine of x, okay? So what we have now is h of x is equal to what? G of x squared, right? Sine of x is g of x, so h of x is sine of x squared, okay? I'm just trying to remember you the chain rule. So the derivative of sine of x is cosine of x. This derivative of h of x, so it's going to be 2 the g of x, 2g of x, so 2 sine of x, and then you multiply them both, right? 2 sine of x multiplied by cosine of x. So if you don't remember this is the chain rule, okay? So now we have the derivative. 1 second, let me just disappear with this part over here. So this was just a review, and now let's go back to solving. So if we want to find maximum and minimum, we say that the derivative is equal to 0, right? So 3 cosine of x minus 2 sine of x cosine of x, right, equals 0. So we will have that 3 cosine of x is equal to 2 sine of x cosine of x. Now notice, you can't just cut cosine of x over here. Why is that? Because it's like if you had, let's say, 3 multiplied by x equals to, let's say, 2 multiplied by x. If you cut x over here and x over here, you'll have the 3 is equal to 2, right? But this is not right, this is wrong. So when is this equality is true? When x is equals 0. If x equals 0, 3 multiplied by 0 is 0, and 2 multiplied by 0 is 0, okay? So you can't just cut it, you need to make the conditions for this when this is happening. Okay, so let's say first, if cosine of x is equals 0, then this equality stands, right? If cosine of x equals 0, then 3 multiplied by cosine of x when it's 0, it's equal to 0. And 2 sine of x, well, it's something multiplied by cosine of x, which is 0, then it is 0. So you have 0 over here is equal to 0, which is true. Okay, so if cosine of x is equal to 0, we will have that this is true. But let's say if in the case if cosine of x was not equal to 0, what would we have? If cosine of x was not equal to 0, we can cut it, okay? So we'd have that sine of x is equal to 3 divided by 2. And this is false. Sine is a number smaller or equal to 1, and bigger or smaller than minus 1 sine, remember? So it can't be 3 divided by 2. So the condition for this to happen is cosine of x equals 0. Now, when does cosine of x equals 0? So remember, so the cosine is equal to 0 in this point over here and here, right? And it doesn't matter how many times you loop it. If you go, whenever you are in this point or in this point, you are in 0. So this point, when is it? So when x equals p divided by 2, we have it 0, right? When x equals p divided by 2, because cosine of p divided by 2 is 0. But it is also 0 when it is over here, right? And when it's over here, it's x equal to 3p divided by 2, remember? This is the same of 270 degrees, okay? So in here, it is 0, 2. So if you remember from trigonometry, how can we represent this? Well, when x is equal to p divided by 2 plus kp, being k part of the real numbers, okay? So why is that? Notice if we put k equals 0, okay, if we put k equals 0, you have that x equals p divided by 2, and that's it. This part is 0. If we put k equals 1 and minus 1, when I show you in the graph, you will see that it's always work. So if k is equal to 1, so plus p, right? So 2 above and 2 down. So x will be 3p divided by 2. Well, this is actually an answer when it is over here. And the rest numbers will give you answers when it gives a whole loop and a second full loop. Remember? So just for, I think this part is really important. So look, if we wanted to represent a full loop, we would say that p divided by 2 plus 2p multiplied by k, right? Because 2p is a full loop, so that you can go back in here, but we don't want a full loop, and then the number of loops you want is k, but we don't want a full loop, we want half a loop. Why? Because here and here are both answers. So this is our answer, okay? So but we are only looking for the first loop. This won't change anything in the question, but I think it's important to remember. So when x is equal to p divided by 2, we have a point that we need to discuss if it's a maximum or minimum, and the second x is when 3p divided by 2. Remember, why is that? Because these are the conditions for cosine of x equals 0. And why is that? Because we found the derivative, and the derivative, when we equal to 0, we can find the maximum and minimums. So what can we do now? Well, we need to find the minimum of the function. So we are going to plug both of the value of x in f of x to find the value. You can do the second derivative to find which one is maximum or minimum, but I think it's easier this way. Just let me remember this. 2 plus sine of x multiplied by 5 minus sine of x. So remember, our f of x is equal to 2 plus sine of x multiplied by 5 minus sine of x. Okay, so let's plug in our values. So f of x, when x is equal to p divided by 2, I should have done f of p divided by 2 is equal to 2, well, sine of p divided by 2 is 1, okay? So 5 minus sine of p divided by 2 is 1 also. So this is 3 multiplied by 4 is 12, okay? Now f of 3p divided by 2 will have equal to 2 plus sine of p of 3p divided by 2 is minus 1. This is all multiplied by 5 minus sine of 3p divided by 2 over here. 3p divided by 2 is minus 1. So minus 1. Okay. So 2 plus minus 1 is 1. 5 minus minus 1 is 6. So this is the answer for 6. So 12 is bigger than 6. So our minimum value for f of x is 6 when x is equal to 3p divided by 2. Okay, so the answer is 6. He wants the minimum value of f of x. Okay, so I'm going to add it now a video of analyzing the derivative in a graph. Okay, so this is it. So I just wanted to show the graph of the function. I plugged it in over here. The function 2 plus sine of x multiplied by 5 minus sine of x. So look, remember that the derivative is finding the slope. So look, the derivative is the slope, right? So what do we say when we are taking the derivative? We are seeing the inclination of the graph in that part, right? So what what did we do? We derived it and then we equal it to 0. So what did we say? We said that the inclination we want is when it is 0. So it is in these values. Now you see that you have lots of points of minimum and maximum, and they repeat. What do I mean by this? Over here, look, you see that all of them are in 12, the maximum, and the minimum are in 6, just like as I said. But there are many points, like the maximum is 6, but there are many x's that give 6, and this was the fact that I told you about the when I told you p divided by 2 plus kp. Remember, because this k, the constant, it it gives you more than one value. Okay, so just wanted to say something about this, and I always find it helpful to see it in the graph. Okay, so when you are studying, try to graph the functions. I think it will be much helpful for you to see them. Yeah, this is it.